Hello, my beautiful friends. I'm your host, Leah Cari.
And I'm Cari Kenzie. Welcome to iShft Happens. Discover the leader within. This podcast is designed to disrupt the way you live, lead, and love. At iShft, we challenge traditional narratives and believe that inner wisdom is the key to every decision.
Are you ready to explore a new paradigm of both living and leading? We'll dive deep into our innate strengths as women: compassion, curiosity, intuition, grace, vulnerability, and love. The shift, it's about to get real. Rediscover the power within and transform your life. Stay tuned. It all starts now. Hello, beautiful friends. How are you? Welcome to the show. Welcome to iShft Happens. We are your host, Leah Cari Kenzie, and we are so excited that you are here with us today. We love having you here. If you're new, welcome. If you've been listening to us for a while, welcome back. Today, we are diving into a topic that hits really close to home, literally, right? If you're anything like most, you might have those drawers or those closets that are full of things that you're not using, things that you don't even want, or maybe it's stuff that is not current or it is outdated. And here's the thing, friends, all of that clutter isn't just taking up space. It's also subtly, or maybe not so subtly, affecting your energy, affecting how you show up in the world. And it's not just in our homes, friends. It's not just in our closets, in our cabinets, in our drawers. It's also in our head. It's in our mind. Our minds can get just as cluttered with old, unhelpful thoughts, beliefs, and habits that we really haven't even evaluated. We haven't really been good keepers of our thoughts. They kind of are left recessed in our mind somewhere. And when we leave all of those thoughts, those beliefs unchecked, it kind of weighs us down. Not kind of. It literally, figuratively, psychologically, physiologically weighs us down. It zaps our energy, kind of like the stuff that we hold on to in our homes. So today, we're going to talk about keeping our lives current, not just by tidying up our physical space, but by getting really intentional about what's going on in our brains, what's going on in our mind, and really thinking about things and examining things in a way that maybe you've never done before. This work is so super powerful because it's about making conscious decisions, conscious choices that align with our future. And that's where Cari and I are always trying to get you to make decisions from, to make choices for, to live into. And so we're going to help you navigate all of those outdated, and unhelpful thoughts so that we can free up space for what actually supports and your potential, because at the end of the day, that's what Cari and I care most about. That's our two favorite things, right? Them and their potential. So let's dive in and let's look at all of this together. Miss Cari.
Yes, love. I am very excited. Hi. This is like one of my favorite topics.
Yes.
And what I love about it is there is such a deep connection between the thoughts we have, the things that play in our mind, and the clutter that we hang on to in our life. I know for me, I've spent so much time decluttering the mind, and sitting in just an awareness where everything's up for grabs for me, right? There's not a belief that's not up for grabs. There's not a thought that I don't go, that's really interesting, right? Because too often we align those thoughts with truth as though, oh, what do you mean? Isn't that like exactly? No, honey, it's not. And every time I have done that, what I find fascinating is if I sit and I really dive in and I really start to clear some stuff out, that I will feel lighter. Mm-hmm. And then I got to clean something. Right. And then I literally will come home, because I did this for years. I went to classes and I traveled and I did all these things, and I'd come home and it was like, clean some crap out. I would go into the closet and I'm getting rid of all of the old stuff, right? Or like we just recently, Chad was like, so I had to go to a, where's it going? Like a cheer? No, I went to a wedding. I needed to go to a wedding and I needed to work through and I cleared some stuff out. And then the next morning it was like, my car had to be cleaned right now. Right now. I cannot wait till after this wedding. I have 45 minutes. I will clean this car. I will vacuum this car. I will scrub that because it is so representative of what's happening in our minds. And in the way that we refuse, we deny, we kind of shut down. We're like, it's fine, I'll deal with it later, right? To go through those closets, to clean out that junk drawer. Because Lord knows that junk drawer, honey, it just needs cleaned out. Right? It does. All you're going to do is you're going to keep shoving the crap in there until you can't find it. And you get so frustrated because you have to dig through all of those nasty beliefs, all of that self-doubt, all of the stuff in the junk drawer until you can get to the thing you actually want, that you get so frustrated. You take that junk drawer and you're like, ah, and you pull it out and you dump it on the counter. Right? We don't want you to get to the point where you got to pull the thing out and you got to dump the whole thing on the counter. And then you got to sift through it piece by piece. Like we want to have an awareness to what are we putting in on a consistent basis. You know, I had a conversation this morning with a client and she says this to me. She says she's navigating like unpredictability, right? Life is just scary. She's afraid, right? She owns a business and she wants to expand, but then there's all these justifications as to like, yeah, but if I do this and if I do that and I want to expand and I want to hire this next person, right? And as we were doing some work this morning, it came down to unpredictability. Like everything is just unpredictable. And I was like, really? And she goes, Cari, the world is unpredictable. Everybody is unpredictable. And I was like, I don't think so. She's like, what do you mean? And I said, I don't see that. I actually I don't see unpredictable people. I don't see the world as being unpredictable. And she was like, what? You don't? And I was like, no, but this is why we have to offer all of these thoughts up for grabs. We have to offer them all up as like, what if that wasn't true? What if we just pretended for a moment that that wasn't true?
Yeah.
Right?
It brought me to a conversation that I had with one of my clients, and he was doing his own model work. And so he sent me a picture of it. And so I pulled it up here, but it goes along to this. But basically he had in the model that we do, we have an S line, and in the situation he wrote, he's new to the model. So just we're giving people grace here. Okay.
Yeah.
He said that the economy is affecting the middle class. There's fewer patients that can afford higher fees, and new patient members are declining. And he threw that all up there as if that's all facts. And
interesting.
The work that we get to do this is the work that we get to do forever.
Forever, right?
So what's really funny is people how often do we have to do this? It'd be like asking, like, do I have to brush my teeth again today? Like,
right?
I just did it yesterday. Yes.
I gotta go to the bathroom
again? Yes. Every day we have to brush our teeth. Every day we have to brush our mind. We have to clean it up. We have to clean it out, because with 40 to 70,000 thoughts going through it every single day. Yes, you better believe that this is the work that we're going to ask you to do, because it's too important to not do it. It's too important not to have an unsupervised brain, because he offered me up all of these on his little sheet of paper as if all of these were facts. And I'm like, well, first we have to neutralize that S line. Otherwise, we're just having like toxic positive thoughts about a bad situation. So then we have to figure out, one, there is no such thing as a bad situation, right? There's a situation, and then we make it bad by bad thinking. So we have to know that, because otherwise we'll never get any leverage on our model. And then we'll just trying to like fight and vomit positive thinking about, we're trying to make bad situations better with thinking. No, that's not the way to go, right? Situations are situations. We have to clean up our thinking about them. The only thing that makes a situation bad is our thinking. So we had to unpack all of that. But that's the work that we're asking you to do today in this podcast. And that's the work actually that we're doing all month long in our membership. We're
Mm-hmm.
asking you, and it's such tangible work, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you can see it. When you go into your closet, okay, and you take everything out, or a cabinet or a drawer, and you take everything out, and then you evaluate each thing. And a lot of people don't want to do it for a lot of reasons, right? A lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, that would take me days."
Yeah.
It won't. Pick a section. Like you don't have to do your whole closet. Look at your shoes. Set a timer. Have some constraint. Like I'm going to look through all of my shoes for 20 minutes and I'm going to take the shoes and I'm going to look at them and I'm going to ask myself a couple of questions. I'm going to ask myself, am I using these shoes? Right? Have I used them in the past 6 months or a year? Right? Because the only way that they're useful is if you're using them. And
Mm-hmm.
can you make a decision on it? Can you let go, right, of shoes that are no longer serving you, that no longer fit you, that every time you wear them, you get blisters, right? There's nothing that you have that you wear them with, but maybe you spent too much money on them. That's my thing. I spent too much money on them, so I think that they're going to be more valuable if I keep them in my closet, right? That they're only valuable if I actually wear them. That's the same thing that we're doing with our mind. How many sabotaging thoughts do we think without any sort of conscious oversight that aren't useful, that are actually preventing our progress? And for this guy and for your client too, they for sure were, because they were looking for proof, they were looking for evidence that it's really hard to get new patients. It's really hard. You have to do more affordable treatment for patients, that you have to do this and you have to do this, all based on thoughts that aren't facts.
Well, and
And
what's interesting too is when you look at that, and my head was going around, okay, I understand, like I get it. But if I'm sitting and I'm listening to this, right? There's a couple of things that you said that I just want us to tease out a little bit in order to help
Mhm.
people out, right? When you talked about the shoes, right? And you go into your closet and you're like, it's only useful if you're using it.
Mhm.
But Leah, I'm using that thought. I use that thought. That thought protects me, right?
Mhm.
That thought kind of keeps me safe, right? So then I pair back and go back to when you were talking about the gentleman and all of his stuff that's sitting in the situation line that really just should be neutral, but we create all of the thoughts, feels, and emotions
Uh-huh.
around it. It's
Uh-huh.
like, okay, is there anybody else who is having a different experience?
Mhm.
Is there anybody else who's
Yes.
having a different experience?
Yes.
Right? Because if there's anybody else
Uh-huh.
who's having a different experience, it's not truth.
It's not true. That's what I
It's
told him.
not true.
That's
It's
what I
up for
told him.
grabs,
It's
right?
up for grabs.
And so that's
Yeah.
what I want people to hear is like, if there's anybody else,
Yep.
who navigates and doesn't see the world is unpredictable,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or if there's ever a situation,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's just your imagination, where the
Mm-hmm.
world isn't unpredictable, it's not truth.
It's not truth.
So
It's
that
opinion.
then it gets to
It's
be up for
optional.
grabs, right?
Yes.
It's optional. Then you
Yeah.
get to decide, okay, do I like the world being unpredictable?
Mm-hmm.
Do I like the fact that these shoes give me blisters,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, I look really good in them,
Mm-hmm.
right? It protects me, keeps me safe. Is there another way to do it?
Yes.
Is there another way to keep yourself safe? Is there another way to look really good and not get blisters?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I
You
mean,
know,
it's so great that you brought that full circle, because I told him, I said, I know that you want to believe this and you're looking for other people to confirm this with you. And that's the proof that you're looking for. And I get it.
yes,
But I'm telling you, I just talked to a client that's having her best month ever of new patients.
yes, right?
Her best month ever. So this is just thought land. And I'm not a thought thief. You can keep whatever thoughts you want. You can keep whatever shoes you want. Carrie and I are not coming to your closet. I just want you to like your reasons. Why are we keeping it? And what would happen if we let it go? Right?
Mm-hmm,
Back to that. What are we afraid of? What are we
mm-hmm,
trying to protect in keeping either the shoes? Are we trying to justify what we paid for them? Are we trying to justify that we paid this much? And I mean, it reminds me of a leather jacket that I bought. I paid way too much for it. It never fit me. I kept it in my closet for 5 years. And it constantly fit the question that I was asking when I decluttered. Do I love it? Yes. Does it energize me? Yes. But this year, is it useful? Am I using it? And I hadn't been, but I justified keeping it for 5+ years because I spent too much money on it. Never fit, never wore it. Never looked for another black leather jacket because I had one in my closet. Well, that black jacket's gone. And this girl is looking for a new black leather jacket because there's a hanger that's open.
Yeah.
There's a hanger that's open for it. Similarly, as I was sharing right before we were talking, my office, you guys, I had all of my kids help me. We moved everything out of my office. And I had to let go of notebooks that had stuff written in them. I had to let go of binders that had all sorts of like curriculum and learnings and education in them. And I used that filter. Am I using this? I wish I could say that I'm that person I want to be that's going to read through all of the notes that I've ever taken. I just don't. But I kept them, binders and binders and notes and notes and notes and notebooks that were half used and notebooks that had never been used. And I wasn't using any of them. And so I cleaned out the binders. I took this stuff out. It's being recycled. And now I've got space. I've got space for the future to be like, hey, this is the next thing I want you to learn. An open notebook. Because as if I think I was keeping them as if no other good ideas would ever come to me. Right? Like no other good ideas are going to come to you, Leah. You better keep these, right? Because if ever you run out of a good idea, now you've got journals and books and notebooks of which I've never read. I've never gone back to, not even one time that I can remember, have I gone back to and reread any of the things that I've written. So we just like our reasons when we clean this stuff out. So anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think too, when we look at, when you look at that mind clutter and that office clutter, or just kind of the energy clutter and the things that we have happening around us, right? When we have that kind of thing happening, I always equate it to static. We're not aware of it. We don't realize that it's happening, but it creates a static, like almost that continuous, you can't tune into the channel quite right.
Yeah.
Right. And remember the old rabbit ear? I know I'm dating myself. It's fine.
No, I
the
know.
rabbit ears, right? And then you tinfoil the top. I don't even know if that ever did any good, but you saw it on TV. So it's what you did. And so you're like doing this with the rabbit ears in order to try to tune in to get the channel that you want. But you can't, it's like, there's just a little bit of static. That's what the continuous thoughts that are happening in your mind are doing. They're creating a little bit of static, right? Because it's out of alignment. It doesn't fit. It's not tuning you to the future that you desire. And so you don't have the opportunity to truly be able to see what is there, because you're consistently looking back and proving, like you say, you're proving yourself right. So this whole idea of this unpredictability, right? What's really fascinating is that the work that she is in is all about unpredictability. Like, and so I said to her, I go, oh, isn't that fascinating? And she's like, what? I said, you went into the line of work in order to continue to prove yourself right. Like everything. But if you can clear that static and release that wagon you've been pulling around behind you of all the beliefs, of all of the things that are protecting you, right? Of all of that, like, but the memories, I want the memory, it's what keeps me connected. Or, but I have to remember, so I don't do it again. That's always one of my favorites, right?
Favorite.
Like, I have to do it so I don't do it again. I have to hold on to it. If I remember this, I won't make the same mistake twice, or you'll just continue repeating it as a rhyme.
Yes.
It won't look the exact same, right? But you're going to consistently try to prove yourself right so that you continually hold on to that memory in order to keep you connected. We have to start questioning all of these things. We have to start opening it up, like you say, with the closet or the junk drawer or the pantry, right? I love it when my daughter she gets on like a little organizational streak, and I walk into the pantry and it's like completely clean. I'm like, yes, right? Somebody's been clearing some stuff out.
Yes.
That's what we need to do. And then when you do that, you can see in your pantry more clearly.
Yes.
You're not letting things go to waste, right? You're not like, oh my gosh, I bought 4 of those because I didn't see the 3 that were sitting behind over here. This is what happens with the thoughts.
Yes.
Whereas if we can organize and we can release those things, you don't have to carry the memories. The memory is only popping up because it's like, sister.
Yes.
Honey.
Yes.
We need your attention. Okay. Okay. But I don't need to be here anymore. Like, could you please just let me go? Right? Freedom. I would like some freedom, as would you. That's why these memories pop up. That's why these emotions pop up. There's no such thing as coincidence.
No.
There's no such thing as like Freudian slips. I don't believe in any of that. It's all here for purpose.
Yes.
But do you want to keep that static going so that you can't see clearly? So that you don't understand that beautiful dress that you've got hanging in your closet that fits you like a freaking glove and you look hot as hell? Let's make sure we're clearing the stuff out so we can see those things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
Soapbox she gets on.
but it's so good. And yet what most of us are not conscious enough to do this work intentionally. Right. It's why I love our membership. It's why I love the work that we get to do in there. And I just thought, you know what, if I'm doing this work this month, I'm going to have my kids do this work this month.
Yeah.
And so I printed out our daily dose that's in our membership that have, and we are going through and I'm asking them because I don't want them to get to a place like I was, where I was literally living based on what everybody wanted me to believe and think. Right. And quite frankly, if we're not doing this work, that's what you're doing. And I say this, but if 95% of our thoughts are unconscious, meaning that they are borrowed, recycled, inherited from other people, they're not yours. I don't want my kids to have other people's thoughts. I don't want them to have mine. I don't want them to have the schools. I don't want them to have friends and families. I want them to have theirs. And the only way they're going to have theirs is if they think intentionally about these topics that we're bringing forward. And so the one today, as I was driving Maxie to school, was the one on worth, self-worth. And it was beautiful. Where is it? It was beautiful because basically the invitation in our community is pause and ask, how do I speak to myself? And then it says, self-worth is not earned. It's honored. It's a choice. You get to choose it. Nobody's choosing it for you. Nothing outside of you makes you any more worthy. Nothing that you do or not do makes you any more worthy. You just are, and it is your birthright, and you just get to choose that I am. That's it. That's it. Now, will you or will you not do that or look for proof as to why it is that I could be wrong about this? Either way, just know that it's an honoring of self that is your worth. And so it allowed us to have these conversations about worth. And again, my kiddo was like 14, so we didn't have big, deep conversations. But I asked him, I asked him on a scale, on an assessment scale, 1 to 10. 10 being I'm completely confident in my own worth. 1 being I'm not at all. And he gave me a 7. He said, I'm a 7. And I just asked him, what would it take? What would you have to think? What would you have to believe to get you to an 8? Now, whether or not this makes sense for you as you're listening to me, or this is a conversation that you want to have with your kiddos, and if you're interested in having these, 1, come to our community, or 2, message Cari or I will get you these sheets so that you can have these deeper, more enriching conversations of connections with your children, with your spouses, with your significant other, with your family, with your friends. Because I think a lot of our conversation could be deeper, could be more enriching. But anyway, I asked him what would help him get to an 8? What would help him get to an 8? And he said, if I thought that I was doing better in the world. And so that's when I asked him, and I told you this morning.
Yeah.
Do you think your worth is based on who you are or what you do? And he looked at me, and you guys, friends, this is the work that we do, Cari and I. This is a child of mine. And he looked at me like a deer in headlights. He's like, duh, Mom, my worth is what I do. I'm like, okay. Okay. It's not.
Right.
It's not what you do. That is a belief that you picked up from somewhere else.
Yep.
Your worth is who you are. That is just the power of just one of these little doses. So bring us home.
I love this. And here's we talked about this earlier, and I was like, you know what? I have this little story because we talk about these thoughts, right? And you talk about this self-worth. And when you're like, this is my son, right? This is the work that we do. And I'm like, oh, honey, this is me. And this is the work that we do. So vulnerable share here. I was out. I went to New York City this last weekend. I was telling you about this morning. I went to New York City and went out with some girlfriends on Saturday night. And we're out and we, hit the bar, and it's Saturday night in New York City, and this place is just, it's packed. And so I go inside and the girls are in there and they've met up with a bunch of firemen, right? New York City firemen. And they're all excited. And I go and I sit down next to my girlfriend, and one of them comes up over and it just starts hitting on me. And I was like, no, no, no. Like, when you get I felt like, oh gosh, what's her name in, as if, right? This was just me. I was like, as if, okay. So and this goes on, and he just doesn't stop. And then at one point he's like, are you interested in me? I'm like, no. Right. And he's like, well, why not? And I was like, I don't know. Maybe you could be interested in something other than yourself. Right. And I'm saying it with kindness, but I'm like, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to leave. Like, it's just not my jam. I am not, if you know me, I'm not a drinker. I'm not a bar girl. I'm not, right. But the girls were having fun. And so I kept going. I just need to go. I just need to leave. Yeah, but they're having so much fun. And if you go, this is all happening in my head. They're having so much fun. And if you go, then they're going to want to go. And it's like, not, you know what I mean? You don't want to spoil their fun. Yeah. You don't want to spoil their fun. So I ended up staying, and I ended up staying, until, and finally at like close to midnight, I was like, you girls, I'm about out. Oh, you know what? It's okay. We'll go with you. Okay. Well, here's the thing. The next day I'm on the plane and I'm coming home. Right. And I get this like brief vision as I close my eyes. And it was me sitting and just staying because they were having fun and not honoring my value, not honoring my worth of like, not my scene, not my people, and ooh, right. And could I not have said, hey, you know what? I'm in a jam. Well, we need to know, you know what? I'm totally cool. I love New York City. I have no issues. I'm going to grab an Uber. Like, this is not a problem at all. Please stay. Right. But I didn't. And here's the vision that came to me, is that by sitting there in this moment, I maybe missed an opportunity, because what I saw was me standing and hanging out with these girls. And then I saw me leaving and bumping into somebody amazing. I saw me getting into the Uber and meeting the person. Right. It was like, when you do that and you deny yourself, you also deny the opportunity that could be yours out of holding in to somebody else's truth. This is what we get to bring forward next week.
Yes.
This gets to be a deeper dive discussion, right? Because Leah, there's so much to unpack just around the way that we behave and how we honor ourselves or don't honor ourselves, and the opportunities that we could be missing. Not the food in the pantry, but the opportunities.
But the opportunities, yes. And all of the ways that we filter.
Yes.
Fear filters through pleasing, placating, wanting to concede, making sure that everybody else, but then we're not honoring ourselves. And in that not honoring, we're denying opportunities. So yeah, that is a podcast that we're gonna dive into next week. So friends, if you're feeling inspired and ready to take this work deeper, it's an invitation that we would love to invite you to. We want you to join us this month in our membership, because we're dedicating ourselves to clearing out this mental clutter. Things, unwanted memories, subconscious sabotaging thoughts, judgments, negative self-talk, pairing you with practical strategies to really take the physical clutter one space at a time, and thinking about reorganizing your mind as if there are rooms in your house. Like, this is the work that we get to do, and it is the most rewarding and tangible work that you will do, and we invite you to it. So hopefully you'll join us. If you're not in there already, we hope to see you in there. DM us if you want these daily doses. Connect with us in the community. We want to engage with you there. And until next time, beautiful friends, have an amazing one. Take care.
Have a lovely week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. You have been listening to Shift Happens. Discover the Leader Within with Leah Rolling and Cari Kenzie, where we help you reconnect with your inner leader. Learn to trust your instincts and live with authenticity and confidence.
Tune in every Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time to Shift Happens on Transformation Talk Radio for more insights, inspiration, and actionable strategies to live and lead, not only in purpose, but on purpose. It is time to embrace a life and leadership style that is true to you. For more information, visit shift.life.